how is the tech scene in Kenya? How is the WordPress scene in Kenya?
Kenya, I will tell you for sure, Kenyans are very tech savvy. So
Okay.
there is a huge number of developers in Kenya who are working for overseas companies. Of course, locally as well, we have very innovative products. Some maybe just outside of the WordPress ecosystem is mobile money. We have M-Pesa, where you send money via your phone, the GPS system. So generally, Kenya, I will say, is very ahead compared to other African countries. So I will dare say Kenyan developers compete very well in the global stage. We are very good, talented programmers. So in respect to WordPress, we have a very vibrant WordPress ecosystem in Kenya. There is a number of groups that are very active, WhatsApp groups. People ask themselves questions, advices. There are a number of events. Like last year, there was a WordCamp. I was not able to attend though because of some personal reasons I was looking forward to, but unfortunately I was not able to. So meetups every month towards the end of the month. So generally, the ecosystem here is very good.
Hey everyone, it's Roger with Kinsta. I'm joined today by a new friend, Felix. Hey Felix, how are you?
Doing well.
Awesome. I'm excited to have this conversation. We missed paths at WordCamp EU this year, but I want to, hear more about your experience there. But before we get into that, I'd love to hear kind of your background story. How did you get into computer work? How did you come into WordPress? Like, what's your origin story?
Okay, so first of all, I enrolled into the university to do a Bachelor of Science in Telecommunication and Information Engineering back in 2012. By 2014, I was doing a bit of program electronics, tech and Arduino, program a few things, fun. So over time, as I was doing this, I realized that, I needed always some money to buy some chips so that I can, explore the possibilities there. So until it reached a point, when you are a student, you don't have a lot of money. So at that point, I had to make a decision, and I realized that if I venture in web development, because it was trending then, all I needed was my laptop that I already had. So with that, I was able to, at least watch a number of tutorials here and there doing HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and all that. So once I was done with that, the next thing I was able to do is, try to go online. I signed up on Odesk, which is right now Upwork. I was able to do a few of projects there, create some simple sites. Also, I was able to pick that the trending thing as well was WordPress. There was a number of clients who really needed WordPress. And I know, it was market driven, because at the end, enjoying something that, you're going to have clientele. So that is basically how I found myself doing WordPress.
Okay, all right. So did you always, before university, did you always have like a passion for computers? What was, did you have like a computer when you were growing up?
No. So my parent was able to buy me a computer when I joined the university. So when I was growing up, I was a bit technical. I was always curious to understand much about electronics. So you could find me having dismantling watches, for example, some electronic gadgets, radios, and all that. So I was passionate about electronics, and that's why I went into the university to pursue telecommunication and information, which really is a lot of electronics.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, when I was a kid, I loved to take things apart. I didn't necessarily always get them back together, so I'm hoping maybe you had a better skill with that. Jumping back forward, so you started getting into WordPress, and I know that now you're building plugins for WooCommerce. How quickly did that happen?
So at first, the most successful thing I did first was to develop a theme from scratch, and have it somewhere running. So, it was really exciting seeing what you developed running very well. Mm-hmm. So in those years, 2015, 2016, it was much of, the front end stuff, just doing sites that are not very complex. But now, as time went, is when, you start now getting clients who are more interested with e-commerce. And of course, majorly they're using WooCommerce. So I found myself being driven in that direction, now doing a number of plugins in the WooCommerce ecosystem.
Okay. And when
Yeah.
you're, so there's a lot of plugins in the WooCommerce ecosystem already. As you're building them, what's kind of the impetus for building a custom plugin as opposed to just using one off the shelf that's already been built?
So in most cases, using off-the-shelf plugins, of course, they work very well for, I will say, more generic things that you want to accomplish. But more often, you will find a client, or you will always find clients that they need something more specific to fit how they operate generally in their day-to-day businesses. So in most that aspect now, you have to really understand how they operate. You have to ask a lot of questions. Why do you do this? So that now, whenever now you are outlining your logic, you really understand how they operate, because at the end of it all, it's not about how complicated or complex a certain plugin is. It's all about how suitable, how usable to the intended user is.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. One of the things that I come across in working at Kinsta is people have a ton of plugins, and each one is only doing like one little specific thing. And it sounds like what you're doing is you're coming in and figuring out, hey, of all of the things that you need done, let's just build one or maybe two plugins that fit those tasks. Is that pretty accurate?
Exactly. That is pretty accurate, because let me just expound a bit.
Yeah.
For example, let me just take a specific scenario. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a very huge organization, several branches, across the globe. And, the way they pay for certain things, say invoices, they cannot, say, use credit cards because the organization is complex. So they say, we are going to use purchase orders to do our, e-commerce stuff. So an example of a plugin I built is a plugin where from the checkout, once a user checks out, an email is sent that will give them time to process a PO number. So they seek approvals and all that. The order is placed on hold. They come back with a document. So we scan through the document just to make sure we have the right details. And once we confirm that we have what we need, then we move that specific order to processing. So you see, with that now, it helps streamline how they operate, which in most cases it's difficult to get something that fits such kind of a scenario.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That sounds very unique and bespoke. And so that's, you're completely automating that process for them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And so just to give me like an idea of how much time it takes to build that, like how long did that project take?
In most cases, building, having that MVP, say it can take you, say, a month, maybe 200 hours or less. And then, of course, there is the aspect of support, now making sure that whatever you build is really working as intended. So the fun part in most cases is maintaining the project and always seeing those challenges that you overlooked or it was not discussed, adjusting to fit all that, and always seeing the number of orders, the value of orders that this specific plugin is powering is just amazing.
Okay.
It's the kind of fulfillment that we normally get as developers.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, so you're creating basically a full product, and now you're supporting the product and enhancing it as time goes on. Switching gears a little bit, talking about the WordPress project and the WordPress community. You were at WordCamp EU this year. Was that your first time going to a WordCamp?
Yeah, that was my first time.
Okay, all right. Did you have any highlights or big insights or takeaways from going to this year's event?
Okay. I will say the biggest highlight first, of course, is understanding how the whole contribution thing works. Because sometimes you sit down and you say, I've earned a living from the whole ecosystem of WordPress, but there is nothing, or you can't show much what you've done to the community as such. Because in most cases, you find yourself just focusing on the projects that the various clients have hired. So getting insights on how you can contribute was a big plus for me.
Okay.
The other aspect, of course, was to understanding generally where WordPress is heading. What are the trending aspects? And some of the things that I was able to pick, of course, is the blog editor, the headless API, etc.
Okay, all right. So, kind of focusing in on the contribution aspect of things. It's a big passion of mine. We sponsor a lot of contributors at Kinsta. It's curious to me your statement of wanting to go to the event to learn more about how to contribute, because we've got the Make website, the Make Slack. The project has tried its best to make it as welcoming as possible. What was kind of like a big unlock from going in person and talking with people at Contributor Day versus just going on the website?
Okay. What I will say about that is, in most cases, when you use a certain plugin that is, off for everyone, you normally see those faces who are these. But when you get to meet them in person, it gives you some sense of confidence. And, even me, I'm in a good place as well to contribute. Sometimes you can create an obstruction yourself thinking you need to be as this good. But
Yeah.
no, when I met these guys, I realized we are in the more or less the same level. What they understand, what they know is what I know. You get at least to understand how they process all these things. It gets to remove that obstruction that maybe you are not good enough to do some of these things.
Absolutely. I think, a lot of times that's referred to as the imposter syndrome, right? Where it's like, how could I be as good as these people? And then when you actually meet them, this is fascinating to hear, like actually meeting your heroes and realizing they have to put their shoes on one at a time, just like me. And
Yes.
we talk the same language. Now that you've kind of become more accustomed with the people in the project, are you actively contributing to WordPress?
So now, it has been, is it a month since we came from the
Just
event?
over.
I was
Yeah.
just trying to catch up. But of course, I know is it the third and the last quarter of the year, I know I will be doing a bit of contribution for sure.
Awesome.
Yep.
This is really great. So as far as WordCamps go, are you planning to attend more in the future?
Absolutely. Because there is always something to learn.
Absolutely. How about any interest in speaking or presenting at a WordCamp?
Okay. In regards to speaking, presenting, I will say I'm not very much confident that given that was my first WordCamp. So I will say maybe I might attend one or two, and probably I will be in a better position to say I can, present in some of these WordCamps.
Okay, I'm with you. I understand the trepidation, but I believe in you. I think you would be amazing to present. So I would recommend you just
Thank
start
you.
submitting and talking to them now. I'd be remiss to not ask you about your thoughts on artificial intelligence and AI. There's a lot of hype. There are useful tools. How are you using AI in your workflow today?
Okay, in my workflow today, majorly I use AI to do some debugging. Sometimes maybe you are just acquiring a code base that you want to manage. So sometimes it might be difficult to understand. So it's easier. You just give it to AI, and then it takes you through the thought process of things. Sometimes maybe you've done something and you are getting some errors. It takes you a bit of time to realize where the issue is. It's very quick to give you suggestions where the issues could be. So I will say it's quite a good tool, to be honest. And of course, I understand there are some fears that this might take over what we do. Initially, I had the same fears, but over time, you start as well to see the weaknesses that AI have as compared to a real person. And then you just start to realize that you just have to work hand in hand to achieve the various projects that you do.
Excellent. So it sounds like for QA and testing, you find it be very useful. Where are you seeing weaknesses in using these tools today?
Okay, so to me, AI is very good in theory. the theory that is written in books and all that. But the real world problems, the difference between a new developer and an experienced developer is you get to understand which code, which snippets or what normally cause problems in systems. So, so whenever you are developing them, there is a certain aspect you add to it to ensure that, the code is stable most of the time. So what I've seen with what AI suggests, it is, it's much plain. It's much theoretical without thinking on the consequences that some of these codes can do in production.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And, I'm reading a lot of reports there was one that just came out today. There was a study where they had experienced developers estimating how long a project would take. And they were working on big code bases, open source projects that have been around. And they estimated, it would take so long. And then they were either given AI to do it or not AI. And they found that in most cases, the people that were using AI, it was actually taking them longer than they had anticipated. And so I think, and it's matching with what you're saying here, is the
Yes.
code that the AI is generating just isn't sophisticated enough to understand existing systems. So it's fascinating to hear you're tracking the same results that other people are finding as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving forward, agentic AI, all these things of automating processes are the big news. Are you getting into using much of the agentic AIs at this point?
Okay, to be honest, I've not invested much to understand how all that ecosystem works, but I have plans to, probably maybe take a course somewhere, a 3-month course, or generally do a whole master's in AI just to understand the whole ecosystem as a whole. I think that I've taken a while before I get myself into it it is still young. A lot is still changing. So I don't want to find myself in investing my time really early before, you really understand which aspect of AI is going to make a lot of business, the commercial aspect is going to make a lot of sense. So I'm just taking a back step as I let things, mature a bit as I still focus on what I've been doing for quite a while.
I love the practical aspect that you're taking to this. I think that is very smart. You're in Kenya. How is the tech scene in Kenya? How is the WordPress scene in Kenya?
Kenya, I will tell you for sure, Kenyans are very tech savvy. So
Okay.
there is a huge number of developers in Kenya who are working for overseas companies. Of course, locally as well, we have very innovative products. Some maybe just outside of the WordPress ecosystem is mobile money. We have M-Pesa, where, you send money via your phone, the GPS system. So generally, Kenya, I will say, is very ahead compared to other African countries. So I will dare say Kenyan developers compete very well in the global stage. We are very good, talented programmers. So in respect to WordPress, we have a very vibrant WordPress ecosystem in Kenya. There is a number of groups that are very active, WhatsApp groups. People ask themselves questions, advices. There are a number of events. Like last year, there was a WordCamp. I was not able to attend though because of some personal reasons I was looking forward to, but unfortunately I was not able to. So meetups every month towards the end of the month. So generally the ecosystem here is very good.
Excellent. And are you participating in the meetups each month?
I've attended It's always good to share some insights to those who are still new to WordPress because myself, I've been in the ecosystem for a number of years. Whenever I attend these meetups, it's always a good opportunity to pass some insights generally in the development space.
Excellent. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there. I help run a local meetup group, and I know that getting people to attend can be a challenge. So I'm always excited to hear that people are attending theirs and helping those grow. Felix, it's been great talking to you. I try and keep these somewhat short. If people are interested in talking with you, learning from you, or hiring you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Okay, I will say email. I can provide my email address if that is necessary. Of course, my phone number, but in most cases, I know email works best.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Well, how about if we'll share your LinkedIn profile so you don't get too much spam?
Okay.
Does that work?
That is fine. That is fine.
Excellent. All right. And are you currently looking for new clients right now?
Yes, I will say yes. As much as I don't have a lot of time because I've committed a bit of my time to some other clients. Of course, getting new clients and of course working on those unique, challenging projects is something, I always have some time for.
Beautiful. That sounds great. Felix, it's great talking to you. I look forward to speaking with you again and then hopefully meeting in person at the next WordCamp that we're attending together. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Roger. Hope to see you soon.